Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Successful Bookkeepers Summit. My name is Nikki Dawes, and I am the owner and manager of Above and Beyond Bookkeeping. So I'm going to share with you some of the things that I've learned along the way and hope that it can help you. I'm going to start, I must say first, I'm a bit nervous. I am used to making videos, but I'm normally walking along the beach, so it's a little bit more difficult sitting here by myself in my office and talking to myself. So if somebody walks past my office, they might think I'm a bit strange, but hopefully they'll just think I'm on a call or something. So bear with me, and I'm sure I'll warm up as I go. I'm probably going to break it down into 4 separate videos because I've got 4 steps. And just to summarize now, I'll let you know why I've chosen these steps. Firstly is, I've been a bookkeeper for over 30 years. And when I first started, I started bookkeeping because we actually bought our own business and we had no idea of what to do, of what was expected. So that drove me to then go to TAFE and do an advanced diploma in accounting. And I then went and did about a year of tax and worked for somebody else doing tax. And I found that, I just didn't really like it much because I wasn't having much experience. I wasn't actually involved with the clients very much and their business. Basically, we got a set of books well after the end of the financial year, and that was that. So I wanted to be more involved with the clients and helping them with their day-to-day stuff. So that's why I became a bookkeeper, and that's what I absolutely love about it. Is I'm very passionate about business in general. So bookkeeping is a great way to actually get involved with many different kinds of businesses and really work together with the owner and help them to become successful. And so what I've found over time is, a lot of people get into business because they want freedom. They're really good at what they do, and they're frustrated with the place that they work at, and they feel that they could do a better job. And they usually produce amazing work, and they're really talented at what they do. And usually people have no idea what they're getting themselves into when they start a business. And if they had have known, they probably wouldn't have done it. So it could be a good thing that they were a bit naive at the start. So, so people sort of think, oh, I'm going to get in business for freedom so that I can, really have a lot of creative freedom. Also financially, they're going to be better off financially because they'll be paid more, and they'll be able to, structure the business they want to. But what they find is it's not so easy, that they've got a lot of overheads they didn't think about. They have to work all the time because if they have holidays, they're not getting paid. If they start putting on staff, that's a whole nother ball game that there's so many elements to that you just don't realise until you do it. And obviously the buck stops with you. So if there's a problem with something that you've done with a client, then you really don't have anyone else to go to. It's usually just you on your own. And, lack of support can really be a big part of it as well. A lot of people don't understand. A lot of your friends they just work for someone, then they don't know what it's like to run a business. So, and there's some key things that over the time that I've been working, I've had quite a bit of coaching over the years, and so I've learnt a lot from that, and I highly recommend it if anybody's considering it, because I just think it's a game changer. It really does help you to have that support from someone, and it is also makes you accountable. So each week or each fortnight you have some things that you need to do, and you actually get them done because you've got a deadline and you've got someone, you're paying a lot of money, so you want to make sure you're getting out of it. So from there, I'm just going to start. I'll just summarize what I'll be talking about. So the 4 key things that I feel are really, really important in business, and to be honest, it's absolutely the minority of people that are doing these things, and they're quite simple. So the first one is values. So values is, to me, the first thing that you need to get clear on. So that is, some key things that you're really passionate about, things that are important to you, priorities for you in your world, in your life, not just in your business. But, you know, things like, for example, some of my top values that I have is family is number one, and personal growth is another thing. And it's so important to get clear on those yourself, because everything else is going to come from that. You make decisions every day when you're in business, and a lot of the time the decisions come back to your values. And if you're clear on what they are, it makes that decision making a lot easier. What I found as well is, as I have got clearer, because when I first started, I didn't really think about the values or anything like that. And I was just taking any clients that were coming. You know, when I started having staff, I just, you know, if they ticked the box, if they, you know, they came to me, I'm like, great, where do you, when can you start, you know, but, you know, now that I'm really clear on my values, and I focus on that when I'm interviewing people for a job, I really ask them about their values. I tell them mine, and I say, can you speak to that? And can you also tell me a little bit about yours? And it's amazing what it brings. It can really help you make decisions very, very easily. And what I've also found is that a lot of the clients you get, it seemed to have the same values as you as well. And that is great in business, because it means you're sort of speaking the same language, and the priorities are the same. You know, for example, when I recently was recruiting some new team members, I put the question out. That's one of the first things we do, is we say, these are our values. Can you please let us know what you speak to them, and tell us a bit about yours. So before we even interview, this is one of the questions we ask. And interestingly, like, one of my values is personal growth. And one person responded and they said, well, I don't see how that's related to business and to work. And which I was amazed about, because to me, being in business is all about personal growth. And working in general is all about personal growth. It's about stretching and growing as a person, and all the challenges that you're facing all the time. If you can see them from a personal growth perspective, it can help you really improve who you are and what you're doing. So, you know, that person, it was really clear, and we ended up interviewing that person anyway, and it was really obvious that they just weren't a match in so many other ways as well. But so just asking that question and getting clear on those things can really, really help you. So I'll talk a bit more about that. But also the next step to business success is, I'm just going to look at my notes because I've gone a bit blank, is the budgeting and structuring your finances. So, I mean, obviously as bookkeepers, that's what we're helping others to do, but sometimes we forget to do it ourselves. And just finding some really simple, good, basic things to do is great for obviously your own business, but also then you can then share that with your clients as well. So I've got a few different ideas on that. So we'll go through that. And next thing is systems. Systems are 100%, even if it's just you on your own doing your own just a bookkeeper, like a contractor. It's just so important to get your systems right, because first of all, it's a start. Like, before you put anybody else on, it's just a really good habit to get into. As you get more and more clients, you've just got so many different things going on. It's so easy to mesh them all together, or just to forget that one little thing, you know, lying in bed at night and, you know, think, oh, did I do that such and such? Did I lodge that thing? By doing your systems, you know that everything you're supposed to have done has been done. But it also means you might be able to go on a holiday as well, because you can actually get someone to caretake your job. So I'm going to go through some systems with you, and just some basic things, how I started with my systems and how I built them up to be like an absolutely comprehensive whole system now. It's just incredible. I'm so proud of our system. So I'll tell you a bit about how I started and how we moved along with that. And the fourth part is marketing. We all know that we have to do marketing, but obviously there's not much point in doing too much marketing until we've got some of those other things in place, because otherwise you're just going to get heaps of work and you're not going to do a great job necessarily, or you're going to get so stressed out. It's all going to fall apart. So it's a great idea to get some of the other things done first, and then after that you can get started with your marketing. Probably good to have a basic marketing strategy at the start anyway, and then from there you can build it up into, where you're really trying to attract clients and get the ball rolling. So hopefully it's going to be helpful. So values, the foundations of your business. So this is the exciting part. This is, where you get to decide what you want your life to look like. So deciding what's important to you, what things you really want to hone down on and to have more of in your life. So whether that be honesty or family, accountability, there's thousands of different ideas out there, and you can literally Google it and get a whole list of different things. And that's what I would 100% recommend that you do. So you can Google values and get a whole list, and then print it out, grab a highlighter, and then just go through and just start highlighting the ones that resonate with you and that you feel good about. And then once you've got your basic list there, you can get a red pen and then go around and circle some more. And then you can go and get a black pen and circle and just whittle it down, like get really, really clearer and clearer and clearer on which ones really resonate with you till you've got sort of about half a dozen, and those are going to be your key values. And this is something you can do, once a year maybe, because we do change and grow. Hopefully we're growing, and so we're going to change what is important to us, different ages, different stages of our lives. And you will be actually amazed at how it does change things. When I got really clear on my values, I mean, it was quite confronting, because I lost some team members because I suddenly, I can't even explain it. It's just something that happens. And I guess it's to do with the RAS, your reticular activating system. So it's what you're focusing on, it suddenly becomes more important, and it's sort of an unconscious thing. So, hopefully that doesn't sound too woo-woo, but it really does happen. And then suddenly you get clients that are just really aligned and they've got the same values that you have. And the ones that don't match the values, they tend to just move away. So it's a bit of a shake-up, but you have to have faith and really trust the process, that even if you do lose a few clients, you're going to get some new ones, and the ones that you do get are going to be so much better, and you're going to work together so much more efficiently. We've just got amazing clients now, and some of the clients we've had in the past, I mean, when I first started, obviously you just sort of take anyone, and you tend, I think, I don't know if it's a normal thing, but I found that I had a lot of people that were in a mess and just very needy and things like that. And whereas now I feel like a lot of the clients we're attracting are people that are on a mission, that are really passionate about business the same that we are. They love their families, and they're really all about personal growth as well. And it's just fantastic because we're talking the same language, and it's just so much more fun working with people that you connect with. Connection, again, it's another thing that's really important to me. So, and this is what I do all day, every day. The same with my team. I mean, I found at one point that I wasn't really enjoying coming to work because I didn't really love the team that I was working with. And that's a bit sad. I mean, it's my business and I don't even like going to my own business. So, that was when I was like, something needs to shift here, and I need to be working together with people that really resonate with me, and that, we're like a team, like a family. And, that's what we've got now. It's just fantastic. I love my team and I love my clients. So I honestly believe all of that comes from these values, this values workshop that you can do, where you can just really just get clear. And it's a really simple process. And once you do, you can just put it onto, just type it out onto a sheet and print it out and put it in a frame and put it up on the wall. And then you just see it all the time. You unconsciously see it, your clients see it, your team members see it, and everybody starts to work towards that. It's a work in progress. Like, just because it's a value doesn't mean we're 100% there yet. It's just what we're striving for and what is important to us. So, yeah, it's one of those things that I don't feel like a lot of people focus on. I mean, obviously, unconsciously, we have our values, and that's going to be happening to some degree. But I think once you get clear and conscious about it, it does really make a big change. So give it a try, and it's a really easy thing to do. So good luck. So the next thing I'm going to talk about is the money part. So obviously we're bookkeepers and this is what we're all about. So we should know a bit about budgeting and looking after money. But sadly, we're just like every other business owner, and we get cash flow issues, we get BASs that we have to pay, and we get surprises like insurance and all sorts of things. Your computer blows up. So what I find when people first starting out in business is they just sort of work and live out of their same bank account. So the number one first thing to do is separate your personal and your business finances. Have your business account and then have your personal account. And what I would suggest, if you're not taking a wage or you're not taking a specific sum of money each week, start doing that, because it is amazing how if you just set a direct debit, somehow the money just starts rolling in. And it's, again, I spoke earlier about the RAS, the reticulating activating system. And I might not have even said that quite right, but the RAS, it is a real thing, and it's whatever we focus on starts to, become apparent. It's the same thing like when you buy a new car, suddenly you see those cars everywhere and you think, wow, my car's become really popular, but it's not that, it's just that you notice it more. So that is working in your life. So if you start saying, all right, I'm going to take X amount of money every single week, and you set a direct debit so that it's automatically that money out of your business, you will be amazed at how suddenly you're focusing on making sure that amount of money is there every week to be able to take, and it starts to happen. So that's one thing you can do. If you're not quite up to that, or you're not game enough to do that yet, just make sure that you take chunks of money out and you put it into your personal account to use that money separately from your business. Because as you would know, as a bookkeeper, when you see it in other people's books, it's a mess. And we have to start with ourselves. Because even though we are bookkeepers, we're still human, and we often do the same things that our clients are doing. And because we're bookkeepers, we know we can fix it, so we don't. But this is really important to do for yourself. So once, depending on where you are along the journey of your own business, there are different things. Now, one of the things that I've found, and I know that there are profit first professionals on this summit, so I am definitely not a profit first professional, so I'm not claiming to be, but there is a process called Profit First, and there's a book written by a guy called Mike Malkovich, and it's this whole system that you can use, and it's really, really simple. And I would highly recommend anyone just go and grab the book or grab it on Audible and have a listen. And it's a really simple way to structure your money. It's great, if you do find it interesting and want to go down that path, book in to see a professional and get them to set you up, because it's not really expensive as far as I know, and it really can help. And especially if you're starting out, start the way that you intend to be down the track. So but basically what it is about is, it's the way that I think about it, it's like grandma's old fashioned way of, she would get her money every week and she'd have her jars at home and she'd break it up into the jars. So that's for the electricity, and that's for the food, and that's for, the mortgage or whatever it was, and split the money up into different sections so that you know that you to just take the money from that area of work. So so it's sort of based on that, because the reason why he came up with this system is because he'd go to his accountant at the end of the year, and the accountant would say, oh, fantastic, you've made a profit. And he'd be like, well, that's great, but I don't see the money. And I honestly get that all the time from my clients, where they're like, well, if I'm doing so well and I'm making all this profit, where's the money? Because I feel broke and I've never got any cash, and, there's no cash flow. And so this is a way where you can start literally pay your profit out first, because normally, obviously, with our profit and loss, we've got all our income and all our expenses, and then right at the bottom, right last full, is the profit. This way, you actually take your profit first. So you're reverse engineering everything. You're looking basically at your profit and loss and working out what your profit percentage is, and then working it backwards. And then you basically create yourself 4 or 5 bank accounts, and you filter your money into these different streams. So you've got your money coming into one, and then you're breaking off the percentages of each section, like your operation expenses, your profit, your taxes. And so this way you've always got all the money for your taxes. You don't get any surprises, or if you do, if your tax has gone up a little bit, at least you've got the majority of it there. And you can refine this every 6 months or every year, depending on how much your financial situation is changing. I've been doing it for myself, but just on a basics. I haven't actually seen a professional so far. And I have got a few clients that have been doing it as well. I've got a few clients that have seen professionals and are doing it specifically with them. And I think it's really great. Although I have seen some clients trying it and just ending up with a dog's breakfast, because they're half doing it. And that's why I would recommend maybe seeing a professional, because they can help you stick to it, and they can show you where your problems are and where you're not sort of following through with things. It does seem to take a little bit of money to start with, because obviously you might have your insurance due, which is a lot. So sometimes you need to have a little bit of flexibility at the start, just while you're getting things going. But basically it's just, in a nutshell, all your money's coming into one account, revenue account, and then from there, every week or every fortnight or every month, depending on what best suits you, you then split that money into percentages into different areas, for your operation expenses. And then what tends to happen is if your operation expenses is where you kind of spend your day-to-day money, if that's running low, then you're going to cut your costs and just not spend as much. Whereas if you tend to have this big bucket of money, you sort of think, oh, well, I need a new computer, so I'm going to buy one. You don't think about the fact that you've got your BAS is due in a couple of weeks' time, and that money's actually already tagged for something. So it's just a way of quarantining different money and keeping it safe, but also, best of all, you're getting paid your profit first. And so it is a really great way to get your finances in order and just not have to worry about what's coming up in the future, because it's already all taken care of. And I must say, when I started doing it, it really, really helped me. Everything just felt tidier and just in more control, basically. So give it a read, the book, and if you like it, give it a try for yourself. But if you feel the need, definitely reach out to a professional, because they love it. They get really excited about it. And the guy that invented it, he's not an accountant. He's just a business person, and so it's really simple and it's not rocket science. So give it a go. Hi everyone, I'm back again, and now I'm going to talk about one of my most passionate topics that I sort of have a love-hate relationship with, to be honest, and that is systems. So when I first started doing bookkeeping for myself, I just kept everything in my head pretty much and just worked from there. And I knew all my clients, so I knew what I was doing. And also, to be honest, when I started, it was more about going to someone's office and getting their paper bank statement and working through each thing that needed to be done. And I do that like every month or every quarter. And it was pretty straightforward. The thing was, though, that if I wanted to get money, I had to do that myself, and there was no other way around it. There was not really any holidays and things. But as things have become more online and more more streamlined, I found that I wanted to start getting some more help, as I got more jobs on. So then once people started working for me, I was like, how do I know that this is being done? Like, did they know that they were supposed to do such and such, or did they realize that that client had these special circumstances, etc.? And, I found that I was having to check every single thing they were doing, and it was actually sort of causing more work for me and more stress. And then little things would slip by, and, I just didn't really have any way of making sure that the job was getting done properly. So from there, I as I said at the start, I'm really passionate about business. So I've read lots of business books, and I've quite often had coaching along the way. And even when we first started with our first business, we learnt from our coach that we had to systemize that business. And so sort of create it. So like my partner was there 6 days a week, and he was managing the store, and it was a health food shop. And we had staff, but they only worked when he was there, and he pretty much took care of all the ordering and, answering all the questions and things like that. And then GST came in, and we had to computerize the shop so that we could capture the GST part of it. From there, we started a membership program, and then we started sort of creating different jobs, like a system, like we created an ordering system, for example, so that if my partner wasn't there, then somebody else could do the order, because there was a way to do it. Like we had stock levels and that we needed to get to. So just creating simple systems like that. So early days on, I read The E-Myth by Michael Gerbera, and that was fantastic. It just changed my way of thinking about things, thinking like, looking at McDonald's and the way that, 16-year-olds can basically run a business. It's pretty incredible, because it's hard just to get them to clean their room. So to let them be able to actually like manage the whole shop is incredible. So, but it is doable. And the amount of times that I talk to people in business and they say, oh, you can't systemize my business is really different, and it's so specific, it's just impossible. And it's like, no, that's not true. Sorry, that you can definitely do it. You can do it with any business. You can write a set of procedures on how to cut hair. You can write a set of procedures on how to change a tire. You can write a set of procedures on how to do anything. The problem perhaps could be that there's just so many different things within a business that you'd have to write procedures about a lot of things. Well, that's what you do have to do, unfortunately. So this is where the love-hate relationship comes in, is that it is kind of boring. It's boring writing systems. And the fact of the matter is, by the time you get to the stage where you've got your own business, you are what they call consciously competent. So, unconsciously competent. So that means it's kind of like driving a car. You're not even aware of what you're doing. You're not aware of all the different parts to it, because you're just doing it unconsciously because you know it so well. So what it means is breaking it down into every little tiny step, and which is hard because most of them you just do without thinking. So it's about actually going back to basics and sitting there, like if you were going to write a process on how to drive a car, for example, you would literally get into the car and go through every single thing that you do and write down every single step along the way, which is boring. It takes time, and it's a little bit, it's not fun, but it's interesting doing it because it makes you realize all the steps that are involved, and it also makes you realize that, hey, it is transferable. I can actually write down all these steps and then give that to someone, and there's a good chance that they will be able to do it, and you can test it out. You can give people a go at it and say, what have I missed? And then you're really amazed at the parts that you do miss, or the things that you haven't explained very clearly. So basically, creating the systems is about going back and writing a process for every single thing that you do in your business. So in terms of bookkeeping, what we've done is we've well, when I first started, I basically had it on Excel. So I had a very basic Excel sheet for every client, and each quarter I had like little tick boxes. It was so clunky, and it was a bit time consuming as well, to be honest. But it was pretty much just a bit of a checklist, a bit of a tick list. It wasn't so much about procedures as such. So from there, though, to try to sort of automate it a little bit more and make it a little bit smoother, I was looking everywhere to try to find a system that would work. You know, I was looking at all these CRMs and everything, and it was like, no, they're just not what I'm looking for. And eventually I found Trello. And look, if you're starting out, I just think it's fantastic. We actually had a really comprehensive system on Trello. And I think, you can actually get it for free for a certain different modules of it. But basically on Trello, we had a board for every client, and on that board, we had different lists. So we had different, like from memory, it was like we had notes, just procedures on how to do every single thing, all the different parts to their business, whether they had, fuel tax credits, or, Joe Bloggs worked 6 hours and so worked 12 hours, and just all the different details, even to the point where we had like a little bit of a rundown on the clients, and these clients, this is what they do, and they've been in business for this long, and, maybe some links to their websites and things like that. And then in another column, we had our checklists. So we had checklists for weekly. Most of our clients are weekly, they're on subscription. So we have weekly jobs that we have to do every single week. So we have a checklist for that. We have a checklist for the monthly, end of month, all the reports that they need, or just, just reconciling different accounts and things like that. Then we have quarterly checklists. So what we need to do to get their BASs done. And then we have also the annual checklist, if they need a TPAR, we usually do a BAS rec, just all the different parts to it. So we just started with Trello, and basically you can make these checklists recurring. So if, we'd say, right, we want this checklist to recur every week, we want this one to recur every quarter. And it was actually quite a comprehensive way to run things. The only thing that we found as we started getting bigger was, we had no sort of global vision. We had no global area where we could see what wasn't done. We'd actually have to go into every single client to see what wasn't ticked off. And it was sort of hard to put notes, or it was quite easy to just chuck in ad hoc things though. So that was good as well. But it was really that global thing, and also just being able to, just to fine tune the system where we would have templates. So from there, we've gone on to Pure Workflow, and that's just been an absolute game changer. I think, to be honest, it was easier for us in some ways because we already had a system going with the Trello. And when you go on with Pure Workflow, they do have all the templates there. To be honest, we have mostly our own templates. We have some generic ones that sort of go for all the clients that we do, especially annual, monthly ones. And we do have some generic weekly ones as well, that most of our clients have. But then we also have bespoke ad hoc ones for most of our clients. We have specific checklists that are just for them, because they are all very individual, and we really do go above and beyond and give very very specific service to that client. And we like to know what's going on. And look, the great thing about it is it means that there's so many good things about it. It means that if any of our team are on holidays or they're sick, someone else can just jump straight in, and they know exactly where things are up to. They know what needs to be done. They know how to do it. There's instructions there on every single thing. So we have really tight procedures on every job, and like, it's just part of our onboarding now. So when we first onboard a client, we create the system for that client. We create their procedures, we create their checklists. We have a whole list of different things that we run through when we're first onboarding them to see, do they need this, do they need that, do they need the other? And usually the onboarding person would look after that client for the first sort of 4 weeks to really get their system really tightened up before we'd hand it over to someone else to look after. But yeah, look, some people I know in their bookkeeping business, they don't necessarily have an account manager. They just, whoever's doing the job can pick it up. So that's kind of how you want it to be, so that if anyone did need to pick that job up, it would be pretty self-explanatory, and everything that you need to know is there. The checklists are great as well, because, and now having the global vision, we can just straight away, every single quarter we have a quarterly superannuation checklist on every single client that's got staff, so that we can see, is anybody not lodged by the due date. So we normally do our super every week or every month for most of our clients, but we still have that check in place so that we can triple check that it's done, so that we're not having to worry about super guarantee charges. And it just means no one gets missed. It has really made our business best practice, and I'm so proud of it. It's taken quite a bit of work to get there, but it's so important. And if you're just starting out, it's so much easier to do it when you're first starting, and then you just follow that system going forward. If you're already well underway and you've got a lot of clients, it's really worth the time, even if you just focus on one client at a time, or you sort of just do some basics first of all to start with, and then you start to sort of fine tune each one. You'll just find that you'll be able to grow your practice. You'll be able to have, the thing for people coming into work for you as well is that I think we've got a responsibility to understand that people that work for us are not as, they're not us. I mean, if they were us, they'd be running their own business. They don't necessarily want the responsibility. That's why they've got a job with you. So it's our responsibility to make sure that, you know, everything's spelled out clearly to them, that they know exactly what they need to do, and to try to relieve some of the stress that, you know, they didn't sign up for. They've basically come to you for a job, so that, you know, they want to do a good job for you, and the best way to do that is to really make it clear to them exactly what you need from them. So if you want to scale your business and you don't want to just be a sole trader by yourself, the systems are, you just have to do it, because otherwise you're just buying yourself more problems. I mean, I'm always on it, my clients, that, you know, no matter what sort of business they're in, I'm always saying you need to systemize, because I see them all the time getting staff and getting really frustrated that the staff member's just not doing the job the way they want it done. And I'm saying, well, have you told them? Have you made a process for them? Have you made a checklist for them? And they're like, no, you know, I don't have time for that. But the thing is, they can't really expect a staff member to come in and do the job that they're doing, or that they want them to do, if they're not making it really clear for them. So again, it's one of those things that I rarely see people doing, and I really think that if people did it, they would be so much more likely to be successful. They would be able to have more time off, and they would just be able to grow their business so much more. And so get started with the systems, you know, just like I said, start with Excel or start with Trello. Trello's a great way. It's really fun as well, and you can put different backgrounds and get a little bit creative with it, but you can really get that recurring checklist thing going, which, you know, even if you just have a really basic one to start with, it's a game changer. So hope that helps. I really would love anyone's feedback if anyone gets a chance to do it. Because yeah, I really believe that it makes a lot of difference. So good luck. So welcome back. So I'm now at the last part of my 4 steps to business success, and that is about marketing. Now, to be honest, this is not my strength, and I don't love the marketing side of things. Probably like a lot of bookkeepers, we love the numbers, and we don't necessarily like getting ourselves out there. Here I am. This to me is marketing as well, because it's just helping me to grow. It's challenging to do it. It's not something that's come easily. And my business manager has been harassing me to get this video done. So it's something every day I've been going, oh, I need to do it. And it's not super easy, but it's so important. And, you know, I think the thing is, we've, like, say with our social media, for example, we have got our generic sort of different things being put on each day, or, you know, a couple of times a week, 3 times a week. And, you know, that's great. And you definitely need those things to be out there, just, you know, different posts. But the engagement that we get is pretty much zero. My coach, Sharon Francisco, says to me, you have to do it. And don't worry that nobody's liking it or nobody's commenting, because people do see it. And I think too, that if somebody's looking you up, that you've got to focus there. People can see that you are actually out there and you've got a real business and that you are professional as well. But the way to really get engagement is to do the videos. As soon as we do videos, as soon as people see your face, then they engage. So whether it be your friends, your family, and your clients, and also just people, you know, people are always wanting information, and you'd be amazed at what information you actually do have to share. I think that's one of the things, working by ourselves in our little office. We forget about what little gems that we have that we could really help people with. You know, as bookkeepers, we get to see a lot of stuff. We get to, like, I sort of liken us to being like the GPs or the nurses of this world, because we see things that no one else sees. Like, we see people's really personal stuff, and you know, we can see a lot of mistakes that people are making. We can tell a lot about people in the way that they work with their finances. So from that, we learn a lot of little gems of information and things that help and things that don't help, and some great things that we can share with others. So even if you just jump on and say hi, you know, that can be great as well. And people love seeing your face out there. And, you know, we're so hard on ourselves and so embarrassed by what we do. I know for me, I'm just like, oh, cringe half the time. I'm just so cringed at what I'm saying, or like if I look back at the video, it's kind of, but you just hit send and you just send it out there. And the more you do it, the more practice you get, then the easier it becomes. And that's why I'm doing this video today, just to help me get more practice and get more comfortable being on camera, because it's just the way it is these days. So you can have all your stuff out there that's been created by someone else, but just more basic it is. And if it's just you and it's real, that's what people want to see. So so with your marketing, I mean, you know, there's lots of different things you can do, like Facebook and Instagram and LinkedIn. Of course, those things are really important and kind of no-brainer. You kind of have to do those things. But as far as actually engaging people from that, I'm not sure personally, unless you want to spend heaps of money on how much volume you're going to get from that. But it's something that has to be done. So some of the other things, though, that can be a lot more helpful in actually getting clients is, you know, and one thing that from the entrepreneurial bookkeeper, from Sharon Francisco, and from Pure Bookkeeping, what I've learned is the accountant meetings. They have been 100% just huge. They've bought me so much business, not even funny. I mean, obviously when you're starting out, you're getting referrals from, you know, maybe you already work with an accountant or something like that, and so they know you, so they refer you some business. You get referrals from friends and things like that. But once you get beyond that, you know, just ringing up, making an appointment to see an accountant and going and seeing one accountant once a week, you will get so much work too much work. You won't be able to keep up with it, because, you know, they're meeting you face to face, and the first time you go, it's so kind of, it can be a bit overwhelming, and you think, what am I even going to say to this person? I don't know them, you know. But literally, you just take a coffee. When you ring up and make the appointment, you ask the secretary or the receptionist, what sort of coffee do they have? Take them a coffee and just literally always take a little pack with me, just a little bit about the business, some things in there. I have like a few referrals in there from accountants and clients, and a little bit about our system and how it works. And, you know, and it's got a card and it just looks nice and professional. And I literally just go in and say hi and just wanted to meet you. And, you know, usually I say something great about their business, like their office, like, wow, this office is fantastic and it's so good to meet you, and just wanted to introduce myself and let you know that I'm here and I have got capacity. Because what you'll find is they do already know some bookkeepers, but most of the bookkeepers they have are already full and they don't have space for anybody else. So they just, so often it'll be like, wow, it's so great to meet someone, to meet a bookkeeper that's got capacity, because we've always got clients that we need bookkeepers for. And I wanted to give you an example as well, because this was just really funny thing that happened to me. I had on my list of bookkeepers to go and see, and one of them was part of a franchise, and I already knew this franchise has their own in-house bookkeepers, and I thought, oh, I'm not going to bother going to see them because they've got their own bookkeepers in-house. And, you know, to be honest, I've had a few negative experiences with that, where the accountant ends up taking my bookkeeping client, so I was a little bit dubious about going. And I sort of kept on overlooking them. And then one day I said, no, just go and have the coffee. Like, you don't get to choose. Like, they're on the list, they're an accountant in the area, just go and have the coffee. Anyway, I went, and it was the most positive experience I've had, honestly. The woman was lovely. And I said to her, look, I was a bit dubious about coming because I know that you do have your own in-house bookkeepers. And she said, oh no, she said, a lot of our clients want external bookkeepers because they want to have a separate bookkeeper to, you know, they want to have a separate bookkeeper to their accountant, which I was amazed, because I do believe that's true as well. And I suggest that now to people, that it is important to have that arm's length so that you can keep each other accountable. So that was one thing she said. And also she said, you know, our bookkeepers are at a different location, and quite often people want someone local as well. And so she has become one of my best referrers, and she's just a fantastic person as well. So that was just a real lesson to me, that, you know, don't judge who don't make up your mind before you go. Just go and see every single person. Make a list of all the local accountants in your area, and just force yourself to get out there and just, you know, have the coffee. And some of them are going to be a bit cringy. I mean, I've had a few meetings where it's been very awkward, a bit uncomfortable, a bit strange. But, you know, I just kind of think they're probably feeling that as well as me. And, oh, well, you can't win them all. There's got to be, and I just get in the car and laugh to myself and say, oh, well, that was a bit awkward. But anyway, done, tick, done. So give it a try. It really does work. You might not get work straight away from it, but, you know, it could even just start like 3 weeks, a month later, and then it just starts rolling in. And then you like, right, need to hire some staff because we've got too much work. So that's my ideas for marketing. Pretty simple. Oh, one other thing I did have as well, that I tried ages ago when I was a bit, you know, I did really need some new clients, is I just wrote up a really simple sheet of paper. I just did some, you know, did it on Word or something, and created a bit of a document just saying free financial health check, or, you know, I've done a couple actually. So that was one I did, and it was just a bit of a brochure and with our logo and a few sort of points on it. And I literally just letterbox dropped. So I just went to the industrial estate, put it in people's letterboxes, put it under doors. Another one I've done is, you know, like you know, one promotion I did was like get your weekends back, and I think it was like $99, you know, for a certain amount of work, and I didn't get a huge amount of work from it, but I feel like doing those sorts of things just gets things moving, and it does get your sort of name out there. And even though you might not get direct work from doing these things, it comes around in different ways, and it really is amazing how that works. People just know, they remember your name. You know, there's so much stuff going on out there, and people might not come straight away. Like from those brochure things, sometimes it's been 6 months later someone's called me, and it's because, you know, they're busy. They know they need to see someone, but they put it off, just like we put things off ourselves. So don't underestimate how it works and how it does get things moving. And just doing a little bit of a whole lot of things, a lot of different things can really help as well. Just, you know, get creative. Sometimes we're a bit boring, us in our office doing our spreadsheets and our, you know, Xero or QuickBooks. But this is a way for us to be creative, have a bit of fun, do a bit of colour, you know, do something different, and you can't go wrong. Like, you know, make sure you put a due date on anything that you sort of you know, a use by date type thing on anything that you're printing out, because, you know, you might get something, a $99 thing in 5 years' time, and but also expiry date sort of puts a bit of urgency there as well. So that's my 4 steps to business success, and I really think that they're simple things that anyone can do, but they really do make a big difference. And honestly, they're simple things that a lot of businesses aren't doing, that in my experience and from what I can see, if people just did these simple things, it would really turn things around for them. Most people in business are really good at what they do. They're passionate about what they do, but they're not doing some of these basic things that are really making all the difference, giving them the freedom, giving them the money that they really wanted in the first place and why they started their business. It really could help you get on the way to being successful. So hopefully that helps you.